As the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers continue to gain more and more points against the Cobra Kai fighters, two fighters stand in the way of the Rangers getting a clean sweep. It's now time for the Valley Girls to fight. In this episode, we're going to analyze who would win in a fight between Samantha Larusso and Kimberly and Hart. But as always, let's start with a brief history. Samantha Larusso was born on October 14, 2001. She was trained by her father, Daniel Larusso, and Mr. Miyagi. But as she grew up, she would lose interest in karate. Sam would fall into the mean girls crowd, as she and her new friends Yasmin and Moon would often pick on other students, even Sam's best friend Aisha. Sam also began dating Kyler Park, who, unbeknownst to her, was a bully to characters like Dimitri Alexopoulos and Eli Moskowitz. Eventually, she would go out with Miguel Diaz, until the teachings of the Way of the Fist would start to taint Miguel. Eventually, after the 2018 All-Valley, Sam decided it was time to get back into karate and trained in Miyagi-Do. As they continued to train, Sam would gain new friends in Robbie Keane and Dimitri Alexopoulos, but with new friends also come new rivals, as Tori Nichols entered the scene. Sam accused her of stealing Amanda's purse, and the two had a rivalry ever since. Currently, she is dating Miguel Diaz. Once Cobra Kai had become a looming threat, Sam would become one of the main teens fighting to stop Cobra Kai. She may be quick to anger, but her stubborn attitude and her persistence will keep her fighting no matter what. Kimberly Ann Hart was born on February 14th. When Kim was young, she was a rich girl and eventually moved to Angel Grove. There, she would cause a scene as her parents were on the verge of a divorce. She would end up getting her future friend and teammate Zach Taylor fired from his job, giving her the name Salad Girl. She would eventually start to date a guy named Matthew Cook, as they began going to Angel Grove High. The two were going strong until Matt started to become suspicious of the 5 Rangers. With secrets and lies constantly be throwing around, Matt became sick of it and broke up with Kimberly. Eventually, she would meet Tommy Oliver, who was the new kid in town, and it wouldn't take long for the two to fall in love. Kim was a gymnast, and she didn't have much martial arts training. She would eventually train with the other Rangers once she became the Pink Ranger. She was chosen by Zordon of Eltar because she was graceful and smart. Jason and Tommy would be the two main people who would help her in her martial arts. After Jason, Zach, and Trini would all leave the team, Kim would be the second to last of the original 5 members of the team to leave. After she was the Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, she would then graduate to becoming the Pink Ninjetti Crane Ranger. Although she did give up her powers, she would return in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, where her and Jason Lee Scott were then captured by Divatox and turned evil and had to face the Rangers. Although Kim may have started out as the typical rich girl, she quickly proved her worth as one of Earth's defenders and one of the best Pink Rangers. With both characters summarized, we can now enter round 5 to see which Valley Girl will win. But first, we need some ground rules. We're going to be analyzing the characters in 5 points of criteria: strength, speed, tricks, IQ, and experience. Whomever has the edge over the other one in a factor will gain a point, and in the end, the fighter with the most points wins the game. The Rangers cannot use their weapons or powers, and no Zords are allowed either. We will be analyzing the characters as a whole, so we'll be pulling from all mainstream appearances of both the Miyagi Fangs and the Rangers. We will not be counting injuries. Things like Miguel's back injury will not be used as a hindrance to his abilities, but just a point in analyzation. I will do my best to analyze the Power Ranger fights when they're only unmorphed, and I will also try my best not to be biased to any one side. So with the rules set and fighters ready, let's begin round 5.
I am not afraid of you. It's morphin' time! Pterodactyl!
Let's start in the strength factor with Samantha Larusso. She's been shown to train from a young age. We see in the flashbacks she was able to break boards even when she was younger. We see Sam trains in strength in the 9th episode of season 2, and she does this consistently throughout the show, especially when she has something to prove. We see her strength training again when Johnny takes the reins of Miyagi-Do. Johnny's training is much more strength training than the balance training of Miyagi-Do. Sam is shown to be one of the strongest Miyagi-Do fighters. In the arcade fight, Sam is shown to be able to fight off most of the Cobra Kai students on her own. She's even strong enough to take down Hawk. During the house fight, Sam is shown to be able to use a bow staff. But this specific bow staff is not one of the small thin bows. This is a bigger and thicker staff. This staff is going to take a bit more strength to use properly. Sam is also shown to be strong enough to pin Tori down during the All-Valley tournament during season 4, episode 10. Sam shows her strength again while Miyagi Fang is training to qualify for the Sekai Taikai. Under Johnny's instruction, she uses a kick to break a watermelon, and she's been doing this for a while. When Johnny trains the Miyagi-Dos, she jumps from one roof to the other. Now the distance of these roofs is assumed to be an Olympic level jump. Sam has also been shown to be able to fight against people who are older than her, much like when she defends her mother and Jessica in the bar fight. Much like the other Miyagi-Fang fighters that we have discussed, Sam was one of the 5 fighters not to be pulled away from Anthony during the flagship dojo fight. Her, alongside Miguel, Dimitri, Hawk, and Robbie, all stood their ground. Kimberly has been shown to be a fighter that focused more on using her area around her than her pure strength. For Kim, martial arts is not her primary sport or activity. She's shown to be a gymnast. Kim uses her strength to cartwheel on the balance beam consistently throughout the series. She's also shown to be able to support more than her own weight when she does things like handstands. In the episode Z-Waves, we see Kim is able to send a few putties flying through the air with a single kick. In the episode Return of the Green Ranger, we see Kim using her strength to throw putties around, beating them on her own. Although, a moment that is more comical than anything, we see that Kim is able to kick a Z-putty up a metal slide all the way to the top. In Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, we see that Kim has to both pull and push a giant metal seal open and close with Jason. Although she does have help from Jason, she would have to hold it on her own as Jason has to free Bulk and Skull so that they don't drown. Not to mention, eventually they will be underwater and they still need to open that door. In that same movie, Kim is shown to be able to fight against the Piranhatrons with no powers. At this point in time, Kim had given up her powers and given up being a ranger altogether. Kim has faced many different enemies, like the Putties, Z-Putties, Tengas, and even Thralls. With these fights, Kim would continue to build up her own strength, constantly striking the stone like putties. Kimberly's athletics allow her to use her own strength to launch herself over her enemies. She uses this even more to get both in and out of a fight. Again, Kim's gymnastics background shows a lot about her strength, considering how much strength you need to be a gymnast, especially at her level, when she was able to compete in the Pan Global Games. With round 1, we're giving the point to Kimberly, on account of how much strength it's going to take for her to become a gymnast, and the fact that Sam primarily trains Miyagi-Do, which isn't strength training. We now move on to speed. When it comes to Sam, we see she's actually a pretty quick fighter. We can see in the arcade fight, she's able to take on multiple fighters at once. Sam again shows her speed in the same jump when training with Johnny. In the tournament, Sam has to use her speed against one of Cobra Kai's fastest fighter, in Piper. She's able to use her speed to catch Piper off guards with her Eagle Fang tactics. During the cafeteria fight, Sam has to defend Dimitri and uses the wheel technique with Robbie Keane. The two are quick and use their balance to their advantage. She's able to take down most of the Cobras, and we see in that same fight, she's not only defending herself, but she's also defending Dimitri and use him to her own advantage. Her speed helps her again during the tournament against Tori. Sam is able to take down Tori using her momentum to knock her down. During the flagship dojo fight, we see Sam is a quick reactant. She has to fight against Kim Daeun and she's able to keep up with her despite the experience difference. Sam is able to use Kangeko to anticipate and quickly defend herself. Sam does use her speed to react in fights even when in close proximity, like against Kylie. Again in the tournament, Sam uses her speed when showcasing the size during the skills competition. Now let's see what Kim brings to the table. Kimberly, as we've established, is a great gymnast. She uses her speed constantly in fights. When Kim goes against putties, she uses her momentum to take down whomever she's facing. In the episode Plague of the Mantis, we see her using her speed to her advantage to take down multiple putties at once. Kim not only uses her speed in the fight, but she uses her flexibility. When Kim fights, she is shown to use her speed to launch herself further and higher. We see this especially in the episode Gung Ho, where Kim uses a gymnastics bar to her complete advantage. In the episode's Big Sisters, Kim and Trini both have to protect a young girl. The two are shown to not only be able to keep up and outspeed the putties, but they're also able to keep the young girl safe, much like the wheel technique that Sam and Robbie use. Again, Kimberly shows her speed and teamwork skills in the episode The White Light. Kim often teams up with Billy, and she is able to take down the surrounding fleet of putties with him. We see her again teaming up with Tommy in the episode Mighty Morphin Mutants. Here she has to fight against an evil version of a ranger. We've already established the rangers are significantly faster than the normal human. Although they don't win this fight, we see that her and Tommy are able to keep up with them unmorphed. Kim does use her gymnastics training to increase her speed, and we see this quite a bit in the episode Different Shade of Pink, Part 1. So they both have speed on the table, and it's time to give a point. This point is going to have to go directly to Kim. Kim's gymnastic background is going to carry her a lot throughout this, and as fast as Sam is, she's nowhere near the speeds that Kimberly can reach. But like I said, martial arts is not Kim's specialty. That's where things might go wrong in this next point of tricks. Now let's look at their fighting styles and see what tricks they have up their sleeve. Let's start with Sam. Sam has shown that she has a lot more training in martial arts than Kimberly would. Sam shows one of her strengths is balance. When it comes to balance, she has a great advantage in this when compared to the other Miyagi fans. We see this when her and Robbie practice the wheel technique. We see her balance is great even when she's unfocused, such as when she and Tori are playing a drinking game at Moon's party. Sam of course has a lot of Miyagi-Do training, and she's got a lot of their secret moves. She shows Miguel that she knows the drum technique, and it's also not crazy to assume that she was taught the crane technique. Sam also has kata, and we see her use this in the 2019 All Valley tournament to keep her cool. Of course, that is one of Sam's biggest weaknesses, her temper. Sam was taught by Chosen to protect the egg. He also taught her to fight for her family and not against her enemy. Under Mr. Miyagi, Chosen, and Daniel's teachings, she has slowly gotten a better handle on controlling her anger. In the All Valley, when Sam fights against Tori, we see that she can fight and excel on the ground. She's able to pin Tori down until she's accidentally hit in the eye. We see this again when she goes against Kim Dae-yoon, keeping her low to the ground, until Kim Dae-yoon is able to get up and take them both down. She is one of the two fighters that has been taught the flying tornado kick by Johnny Lawrence. We see she's able to complete it, unlike Miguel in the same season. Under Daniel, she also trained in both Sochiogekko and Kangekko. Now with Kimberly, let's get the obvious out of the way. We know Kim prefers the air when it comes to a fight. Kim's agility is her strongest point. Kim is able to flip in and out during a fight, and she knows how to keep her distance. Kim's fighting style, much like Billy's, is reactive. She's quick and smart. Kim shows that she can use her flexibility to her advantage, much like Trini. Unlike Sam, Kim is shown to keep her emotions in check more than Sam usually does. She can keep calm and under pressure and even conquer her own fears, much like on the Island of Illusion. Kim's flexibility will increase her speed and her ability to get out of the way. One of Kim's biggest strengths is her balance. Kim has shown her balance, of course, on the beam, but she uses this a lot during fights. We see that Kim is able to adapt quickly to whatever terrain she has to fight on, or even just completely switch opponents. We see this in the episode A Monster of Global Proportions. Kim is able to go into a fight utilizing her ability to flip and cartwheel to take the enemies by surprise. Kim is shown to use her legs to keep her enemies at a distance. We see this in the episode Green with Evil, where she is able to leg lock a putty and launch him away. In the episode The Dark Warrior, Kim uses a kick which I can only really call it a handstand kick, which in a practical fight would probably definitely not work. But I mean, this is fiction. So when it comes to tricks, we're gonna have to give them both a point. Kim is much more flexible and uses this more, but Sam has more specific techniques. The next point we're gonna be looking at is IQ. Of course, Zordon chose Kim for her smarts as well as her gracefulness. When it comes to book smarts, Kim seems to be a pretty smart student. She is one of the top students at Angel Grove. She's nowhere near Billy or even Trini's smarts, but she is a very clever person. We see her use her intelligence and her quick thinking in episodes like A Bad Reflection on You, where she is able to make a plan to sneak out of class. Although that doesn't work. She uses her smarts again in Power Rangers Turbo, the movie. She has the quick idea to free a wizard named Larigo to help Jason and free him from his mind control. In the episode Power Ranger Punks, Kim is the one who is able to figure out how to destroy the Terratoad by shooting him in the throat. In Song of Guitardo, Kimberly figures out how to beat Guitardo. They need counter music, but she also has the idea of adding extra strings to her bow and shooting the Dragon Dagger, which doubles as a flute. Kim is also a creative fighter using her environment and her talent to her advantage. We see this again, like we mentioned, in Gung Ho, where she uses the part to her advantage. One of the most prominent examples in this is the episode Wannabe Ranger, where Kim uses the bridge she is fighting on to take the putties by surprise. Again, we see her fight using the playgrounds and higher ground in orchestral maneuvers in the park. Now when it comes to Sam, she's a pretty clever fighter. Not as smart as Dimitri or Hawk, but still one of the more clever characters. We see her take charge as she leads the Miyagi-Dos into the arcade fight. She tries to ambush them, but of course that plan does not go well. She and Miguel are both clever enough to bring both Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang together during the Season 3 finale. She's also been known to be a planner, often trading thoughts with Miguel to bring both Daniel and Johnny together. Sam uses her smarts to fight against Cobra Kai by disguising it as a simple soccer game when they aren't allowed to fight on school property. Sam, of course, uses her surroundings in the fight as well. She does this especially during the school fight and the house fight. She continues to use her environment to fight, much like in the school fight when she uses the stairwell and railings to take Tori down. In the cafeteria fight, we see again Sam was using Robbie, Dimitri, and the furniture around her to fight against Hawk. Sam uses teamwork again with Tori against Kim Dae-un. So when we look at IQ, creative fighting is Sam. She uses Miyagi-Do. She's not able to compare with the creativity of Kim. We don't actually see much of Sam fighting using her environment, at least not as much as Kimberly. So the point of creative fighting is gonna go to Kim. Now let's look at the final factor of experience. Sam was training in Miyagi-Do since about the age of 8. She would lose interest and stop training for a long while. Then she would begin training again at the age of about 15 years old. She is trained primarily in Miyagi-Do, but later would join Eagle Fang Karate, learning offense under Johnny Lawrence. Sam has had multiple senseis. Her primary sensei is of course her father, Daniel Larusso. She would also train under Chosen Taguchi and Johnny Lawrence, and she is the only fighter of these 6 that we've chosen to train under Mr. Miyagi. So Sam has about 8 years of experience in karate as a whole, with 2 different dojos and 4 different senseis. Kimberly was a young valley girl in Angel Grove. We don't really know how long Kim's been training in gymnastics for, but we can analyze Amy Jo Johnson's experience to give us an idea. Amy Jo Johnson did gymnastics for about 10 years, until she stopped at the age of 17. Kim would be trained in gymnastics by Gunther Schmidt. She would also train in martial arts under Jason and Tom. Kim would even teach other people. She would often teach Trini gymnastics, and in return, Trini would teach her Tai Chi. In martial arts, she would also be trained by Master Splinter in the Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover comic. Experience is completely one-sided in this. Sam has been training in martial arts way longer than Kim. Overall experience in training, Kim has had more years of training, but not in martial arts. She's been training in gymnastics. But that fact does not help that both timelines have gaps in them. So in the end, with experience, we're giving the point to Sam. So when we tally up the final scores, we have our winner. Although Sam does have more martial arts training, Kim's agility, flexibility, and creativity are all going to overwhelm Sam. Like we said, Sam isn't the fastest fighter. She's one of the slower ones, but she's still a quick fighter. The point here is going to go once again to the Rangers. There is one fight left. Let's see if the Miyagi Fangs can pull out one final point next time. So, what do you think? Do you agree with my judgment? Do you not? Leave a comment and like. You can check out the other videos we have too. We like doing audio comics and just some fun, goofy videos. And if you really could, hit the subscribe button. That'd be really helpful.
Who's next? Guess who's back?